ocean, salty seas. Saipan calling, hearts collide. Paradise where dreams reside. Saipan calling, feel the breeze. Taste the ocean, salty seas. Saipan calling, hearts collide. Paradise where dreams reside. Oh, where dreams reside.
AP News. I'm Ed Donahue. Zoran Mamdani is beginning his term as mayor of New York. He was sworn in after midnight at a decommissioned subway station below City Hall. He was back for a second ceremony in front of City Hall. Mamdani is New York's first Muslim mayor and the first to be born in Africa.
I know there are some who view this administration with distrust or disdain, or who see politics as permanently broken. And while only action can change minds, I promise you this: if you are a New Yorker, I am your mayor.
Mamdani says he will protect New Yorkers and never for a second hide from them. In office, the new mayor says he will reset the idea of small expectations. A New Year's party at a bar in Switzerland turned into a tragedy.
After at least 40 people died in a fire and another roughly 115 were injured, mostly seriously. Police Commissioner Frédéric Giselet told a news conference that the inferno broke out less than 2 hours after midnight on Thursday. 19-year-old witness Nathan Huguenin told the AP he felt like he's in a nightmare and hasn't yet woken up. He said standing outside of the bar as the fire broke out, he saw people being resuscitated and some completely burned. He also saw people dying in front of him. Switzerland's president, Guy Parmelin, said the blaze in the ski resort of Crans-Montana was one of Switzerland's worst tragedies. I'm Karen Chamath.
President Trump is delaying increased tariffs for upholstered furniture, kitchen cabinets, and vanities for a year. Oregon dominated Texas Tech with a 23-0 victory in the college football playoff quarterfinal at the Orange Bowl. Just getting started at the rainy Rose Bowl in Pasadena, it's Alabama and Indiana. More information at apnews.com. This is AP News. The AP's Lisa Dwyer reports on new videos of U.S. strikes on suspicious boats.
The U.S. military has released more videos of strikes on 5 more suspected drug smuggling boats over 2 days this week, killing 8 people, while others jumped overboard and may have survived. A video of Tuesday's attack posted by the U.S. Southern Command on social media shows 3 boats traveling in a close formation. The U.S. military says the unusual convoy along known narco-trafficking routes transferred narcotics between 3 vessels prior to the strikes. Southern Command says it immediately notified the U.S. Coast Guard to activate search and rescue efforts, which is notable. The U.S. military drew heavy scrutiny after U.S. forces killed the survivors of an attack in early September. Some Democratic lawmakers and legal experts say the military committed a crime. The Trump administration says that the follow-up strike was legal.
I'm Ed Donahue, AP News.
If you see something, say something, and stay anonymous. Call Crime Stoppers at 234-7272 or submit a tip online at nmicrimestoppers.com. No names, no caller ID, no recordings, just your info. And if your tip leads to an arrest, you could earn up to $1,000 in cash. Your tips have helped take hundreds of criminals off the streets in the NMI. It works because of you. Crime Stoppers, we want your information, not your name. PHI is your local pharmacy serving customers in Cagman, Garapan, and Dandan since 1996. Shop PHI Pharmacy for all your prescriptions, and we even offer a large line of multivitamin supplements. Our Dandan location is open weekdays from 8 to 6 and 8 to 4 on weekends. Or visit our Garapan and Cagman locations weekdays from 8 to 6 and 8 to 1 on Saturdays. Check us out online at phipharmacy.com or follow us on Facebook. PHI is a locally owned independent community Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care.
Fox Sports Update.
Arch Manning started the college football season as the Heisman Trophy favorite, and while he wasn't close to winning the most prestigious award in the sport, he sure ended his season on a high note. Manning was named the Citrus Bowl MVP after accounting for 4 touchdowns as Texas beat Michigan 41-27.
Arch Manning keeps it himself, and he's got nothing but chattel, real estate. He popped the clutch. Happy New Year, Longhorns! Touchdown!
That was courtesy of ESPN as Manning threw for 221 yards and ran for 155, and the highly touted quarterback will return to Texas next year instead of entering the NFL draft. In other college football scores, Vanderbilt's stellar season came to an end with a loss in the ReliaQuest Bowl. Iowa beat Vanderbilt 34-27 as quarterback Mark Gronowski threw 2 touchdowns and rushed for another.
Run the reverse, a little flea flicker. Gronowski looking end zones.
This is Ainsley Earhart. Thank you for joining me for the 52-episode podcast series, The Life of Jesus.
A listening experience that will provide hope, comfort, and understanding of the greatest story ever told. Listen and follow now at foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Got a man all the way, and Iowa another touchdown.
Sound courtesy of ESPN as the Hawkeyes have now won 9 or more games in a season 11 times under head coach Kirk Ferentz. Vanderbilt set a school record with 10 wins and signed coach Clark Lee to a long-term extension in November. Heading over to the NFL, one day after Patriots wide receiver Stephon Diggs was found to be facing strangulation and other criminal charges, another New England star is in trouble with the law. Defensive tackle Christian Barmore has been accused of domestic assault stemming from an incident in August with a person he had been in a relationship with. Barmore's lawyer issued a statement saying, in part, quote, "The evidence will demonstrate that no criminal conduct took place." Patriots head coach Mike Vrabel said the team has been aware of the allegations and hasn't heard anything that would keep either player from facing the Dolphins in Week 18. And you can download the Fox Sports Podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you download your favorite podcasts. I'm Joe Morgan.
Get more on the Fox Sports app and foxsports.com.
Hey, bro, can I grab your bush?
Yeah, man, go for it.
Right on. Thanks, bro. Hey, bro, can I grab your bush too?
Sure, bro. Go ahead.
Thanks.
Now I can grab my own bush. Saipan, it's time to grab your bush. Pick up a 12-pack of ice-cold Bush, and you're in for more than just a refreshing beer. Every 12-pack gives you a chance to win exclusive Bush gear and more. So don't wait. Swing by your favorite store, grab your Bush, and join the fun. Because here in Saipan, the best moments are even better with Bush. Grab your Bush today.
Shiny smiles all around, where happiness is found. It's the little things that make it true. Shiny smiles start with you.
Alarm clock bark, sky still gray, radio clicks on, static haze. Good morning, Marianas, in my face. Brad yelling, wake up, Saipan, no escape. Coffee burns my lip, he laughs in my kitchen. Talks like he knows every bruise that I am in. Good morning, Marianas. Rise up, Saipan. Hearts on the harbor, headlines in his hand. Good morning, Marianas. Live from the reef to the ridge. Bread with the weather and a dare on the bridge. Traffic on Beach Road, kids half dressed. He jokes about rain and unpaid rent. Says call the show, tell me what you regret. Then plays our song like a second chance bet. He says say your name, we say it like a prayer. Through busted speakers we are almost there. Good morning, Marianas. Rise up, Saipan. Shacks and condos all sing with the fan. Good morning, Marianas. Old scars, new daylight. Brad talks nonsense, somehow gets it right. Who is this voice in my cracked dashboard? Why does it feel like he is keeping score of every tired island soul dragged out of bed? Every maybe I will make it spinning in my head. Good morning, Marianas. Rise up, Saipan. Bad roads, good stories, all part of the plan. Good morning, Marianas. Yeah, shout it again. Brad says you are awake, so start living it then.
Good morning, Marianas. Oh my God, is that a banger? Oh man, I'm telling you, that I got fired up, and you could see me sitting there bopping back and forth over here in my little chair here. It is the first show of 2026. Good morning, Marianas. Man, we already got you some news, we already got you some sports and all that other stuff, but holy cow, man, I love that song. That thing gets me going. I've been hanging on to that for a while, waiting for the first show of 2026 to break that out, and I absolutely love it. And my goodness, man, the video that's going to go with that should be pretty cool too. But woo, boy, do we have a big year ahead of us. I'm excited about it. I'm sure you are too. We got a lot to get to today. We got a lot to get to this year. So much stuff happening in the Marianas, and my goodness, glad that you guys are with us today. Let's talk about today a little bit right now. We already had a little bit of rain, and it wasn't a little bit. It came down briefly, but it came down quite a bit strong. But we are looking at isolated showers throughout today, mostly sunny skies. High near 85 today. The wind is died died down quite a bit from what it was over the weekend, but it's going to pick up, or earlier this week, but it's going to pick up this weekend as well, all the way through Sunday where the gusts are going to get as high as 20 miles per hour. That's going to be a little bit heavy for us, but hey, not too bad. Today feels like a Monday, doesn't it? But don't worry, today's a Friday. You guys are enjoying a great extended week of rest and relaxation. We're going to get more of it in the next couple of days as well. Currently 79 degrees up there at the Saipan International Airport. Humidity's still up there pretty high because we just got that rain. Funny enough, it says, hey, we've got lake effect snow through Friday. Heavy rain, thunderstorms, mountain snow. No, that's in California. Don't worry. But that is just so funny to be able to see lake effect snow up there on the screen from the National Weather Service. And I'm like, what are you guys doing to me? No. Anyway, it's great to be back with you guys. I hope you had a great New Year's Eve celebration. I hope you were with friends and family and had a really great time. We did. We were at the Kensington Resort Saipan. I was the MC for their big shindig. And, man, it was a blast. I get to, when I do those things, I'll tell you what, it's the best when you get to work with people you love, right? The people up there at the Kensington, I love those guys. Lindsay and her team working, Dennis Sale as the GM up there, just great people, like people that when you see them, when you smile and it's not a fake one, it's that kind of like, man, I love these guys. I love working with them. They gave us a great package deal for being the MC and all that stuff. But here's the thing. It doesn't really feel like work. It just feels like we're all having a big party together and they're just going to give me the microphone. They're like, hey, can you help us out? I'm like, yeah, I can do that. So we had some great games. We had some fun, some great fireworks. What a blast that we had with all those guys. But here's the best part about it is that, I've been hosting different events throughout the years, different properties and all these things. And, so Kathy kind of knows the drill. I get to see them a lot, but I can't because I'm actually doing all that stuff. And so, but as soon as we get to that final spot, I can say hi a couple of times, but I'm usually like, the leader of the circus at that time. And so when we get to the point where, we finished the last games and we're got about 5 minutes left. It's like 5 minutes left in 2025. And now I'm like, oh man, I got to be close to her. I got to find her. She's my New Year's kiss. And I didn't have to look very far. I look over to the right. I look over to the left, and there she is, just standing right there. 2 champagne flutes ready to go, and has the kids with her too. I'm like, this is going to be perfect. And that's it. So we get to bring in 2026. With a million people who are there, a lot of friends and new friends too. I got to have my great New Year's kiss with Kathy and got to hug the family all at the same time and get to enjoy this wonderful life that we get here in the Marianas. I'm telling you, it was wonderful, and I hope when you celebrate significant milestones like that, you could feel just a piece of that kind of joy that I got, because it's awesome, and I really loved it. Anyway, that was me talking about what we got to do. But there's a whole lot of other stuff. And then, the other fun thing is waking up on a weekday morning and not having to do anything. We could have come in here and done the show probably. But, we just got to enjoy that morning together, having some coffee and just spending some quality time and having a nice first meal of the new year. It was just, it could not probably have been better. Then of course the world starts trying to claw in and getting a part of your action, sending you messages. Hey, can you do this? Hey, can we do this? Hey, did you hear about this and all that? Yeah. But at least it was just a great night and a great start to the morning. And it was great to see all you guys who were out there. Now, Kensington wasn't the only place that was happening. My goodness, did you see that fireworks display over there at Marianas Beach Resort? Yeah, the old Hyatt. Man, that looked amazing. It was so cool. And there's some really great camera angles that we got. David Hood, the owner of that establishment, sent us some videos, so we popped it on there. You'll be able to see it over the next couple of days too, so you can see it. Like 8 minutes worth of fireworks. And it was just incredible. But the view that they had of it too, and it was at low tide. So you see people out there at the sandbar, with all of the sand being kind of sucked out or washed away because of the change of the currents over there, or the ferocity of the currents over there. You see less and less of it. But people out there on the sandbar admiring the fireworks is pretty awesome. So everybody around got to do that. And really cool. Marianas Press had a drone shot of Saipan with the fireworks going on, which is really cool. So if you haven't checked out what they've got, go check that out. Check out their video at some point today, and because it looked really cool too. Man, what a way to start the year. It's great when the whole island or the whole Commonwealth can kind of celebrate something together. I know that we've had kind of a tough year. We've seen a whole bunch of things that have been closing, and businesses, and then these big tourist things and the flights, and it just seems like one after another. Boom, boom, boom. How many shots you're going to take? But we needed something collective to kind of celebrate together and kind of have fun together. We've got all kinds of stuff going on, and this past week between Christmas and New Year's, just what the doctor ordered. Of course, everyone's getting sick also. You can hear it in my voice. But the happy, everybody needed that. We haven't had a good one for a while. And it seemed like a big win for everybody. It doesn't matter. It's not like one sports team beat someone else's sports team, or one political party beat another political party, or whatever. This is a universal happy. And there's no losers in this one. In fact, all around the world, everybody was celebrating, so it's a good thing. I know there's a lot of other stuff, don't get me wrong, but it was just fun to just have fun, to kind of push everything off for a little bit and remember that, man, life's pretty awesome, and we get to do this here. There's people who are celebrating all around the world in their own way, but the way we got to do it here in Saipan, pretty badass. We get to live on an island in the Pacific and celebrate it. Great weather with friends and family, and even tourists, who get to come out here and enjoy it with us. It's pretty awesome. So, hang on to it while we can. We've got other stuff that we're gonna have to deal with. I know, because now we're in an election year. Brad, you started it already. I know. But it's going to be that year, and but I'm glad that we got into it with a big smile and moving forward positively. And I hope you guys did. And if you didn't, hey, don't worry. It doesn't matter. This is not going to be a bad year. This is going to be a great one for you. And it's just the start of it, right? Just the start of it. Maybe you guys want to start eating healthy this year. Maybe you want to start walking this year, and that could lead to running this year. Maybe it's biking. Maybe you just want to be a better person, or a better friend, or a better father, a better mother, better sister, brother, better kid for your parents. This is your start. It's fresh. You're at the beginning. Speaking of fresh starts and at the beginning, one of the things that people try to do, like every year, you see it, people wanting to start with, I'm going to start working out at the beginning of the year. That's my New Year's resolution. All right, that's great. But I'll tell you, Laddie Built, they've been a sponsor of ours for a long time, almost since the very beginning. And they have something to try to get you started too. They want you to get the new year started off right, and they are waiving the enrollment fee. Yes, there's no more enrollment fee in January if you sign up for any of the Laddie Built loyalty memberships. Now, you don't have to know all their memberships right away. You can find out by giving them a call at 235-2265, 235-2265. You can also text them. Yeah, they got a text that you can WhatsApp Laddie Built at 284-2843, 670-284-2843. You can also send them an email at laddiebuilt.staff@gmail.com. So you can be the inspiration, as Derek likes to say, and you can do it without having to pay that enrollment fee. So there you go. This is the easiest way to start it, and you can do it throughout this month. Go down there today. Your first workout's free, I think, anyway. You go down there just to check the place out. It's right down the road, Beach Road in CK. Just look for the tallest building in Chalankanoa. That's the Aquarius Beach Tower. And right at the bottom of it is Laddie Built. It's the cool gray building with the green highlights. And, they're 24 hours. 24 hours they're open. So you don't have to worry about, I can't fit it into my schedule. They're open. And by the way, it's not like you show up there at like 2 in the morning and it's all creepers or something like that. No, it is open. The lights are on. The music's ready for you. You can do everything and do it. And it's great. The community at the gym is great. It really is. And they've got all kinds of stuff over there. So go check them out. Laddie Built, like 235-2265. You can give a text or a WhatsApp at 284-2843. All right. Well, great stuff. We're excited because in about 20 minutes, we're going to have Kimberly King Hines, our U.S. Congresswoman. She'll be in studio with us today. It was a delight when we found out that she's still here, that we're going to be able to get her in. So look forward to that. And that's we're not too far away from having her come in here this morning as well. There's a story that we're going to pop up. It happened while we were in Guam. We missed, this is an exciting year for us because right now we're a one-man band pretty much. But our team is going to expand by maybe 2 people. And definitely 1, possibly 2, likely 2. So we got to play a little bit of catch up when we go off island. Our first week that we took off, I know we still did the show and I know we still did some stuff, but we didn't cover everything because, we're trying to do some family stuff too, right? But we got to see some great things. And, if you haven't been paying attention, this year there's the 2026 Miss NMD. We have Miss Earth, Miss Universe, Miss Everything, but this is Miss NMD, Northern Marianas Descent. And Rowena Ogo has been doing this for, toward the end of 25 and now into 2026. And she's doing a really great job with all this, with all the people who are a part of this program and everything. And I love that this is not just like a hastily put together, we're going to make something happen. No, this thing's been plotted out deliberately with a lot of different steps on it. And because they want to make sure that the people in this contest get to know what it is to be here, right? So they took these, are they contestants? Yeah, contestants, to the SAR Center. That's the CNMI Substance Abuse Addiction and Rehabilitation Center. And so, like the Hope Center and the SAR Center in CK, where you get to learn about what's going on. This is about folks who are having some real issues and the value of, helping folks and helping folks rehabilitate themselves and get past their addictions or continue to battle it, because you're never really over it. Once you're an addict, is what they say. Well, she brought them there and made this a part of it. In fact, I'm reading their post, says, in our culture, we believe in caring for one another and extending a helping hand wherever we can. Around the world, struggles like these are something we only see from a distance or through the media. Here in our islands, even when families have given all the love, care, and support they possibly can, there are moments when they feel they can no longer help. Yet there are compassionate individuals and organizations who step forward without judgment, choosing to support those in need. This is the beauty of our community and our islands. We recognize that struggles come in many forms, and we try to meet them with understanding and kindness. The SAR visit was meant to introduce the girls to a side of modern challenges that are very real, and while also showing how deeply rooted our culture is in extending help, whether or not there is a personal connection, a relative, or simply a stranger in need. Even when someone feels alone, they are not. Sometimes all it takes is taking that first step. Man, I love this thing. The whole program is great, but I love that this is part of the Miss NMD contestant journey, because this is something important to me. I got to meet some of the folks from the SAR group, and I value what they do in our community, and they were the people that we reached out to when one of our friends was going through it. And they were super helpful. And they both, by the way, they don't just say, yeah, thanks, we're here if anything. No, they called me to follow up to see how our friend is doing and what did it work and all this other stuff. And they told us the same thing. They're like, hey, you know what? We're like peer counselors. We're here to help each other because we're helping ourselves in this process too. And gaining allies, you know, as we continue to go through this whole process. And I love it. It really is wonderful. Oh, how about that? That's great. Evelyn, thank you for joining in. That's great to see you. But I'll tell you, so this is really a great thing, and I support this organization, both the Miss NMD stuff, and also the folks over at SAR. I mean, how can't you? How could you not? It's such a wonderful thing, and I love seeing this is something that we got going on in our community. All right, hey, we're going to take a real short break. Oh, come on, Brad, you just started. No, don't worry. We're going to take a real quick break because we want to get to this big story from the Washington Post. So we'll get back to that when we come back.
Hey, bro, can I grab your bush?
Yeah, man, go for it.
Right on. Thanks, bro. Hey, bro, can I grab your bush too?
Sure, bro. Go ahead.
Thanks.
Now I can grab my own bush. Saipan, it's time to grab your bush. Pick up a 12-pack of ice-cold Bush, and you're in for more than just a refreshing beer. Every 12-pack gives you a chance to win exclusive Bush gear and more. So don't wait. Swing by your favorite store, grab your Bush, and join the fun. Because here in Saipan, the best moments are even better with Bush. Grab your Bush today.
Shiny smiles all around, where happiness is found. It's the little things that make it true. Shiny smiles start with
Golden sands under my feet, waves crashing loud, a steady beat.
right, Marianas, welcome back. It is 8:18 in the morning on January 2nd, 2026. Remember that, folks. You're going to be writing a lot of dates wrong, typing up your reports and all that other stuff. 2026 is here. It's Friday. It's the last little bit of work that you got to do. Hopefully, your boss has given you the rest of this week off. That would be the best boss ever, right? Unless you're working at the gas station or something like that. I know you guys got to work. I mean, right? Come on, let's be fair. Yeah, that's how we got to do it. Anyway, it's great to see all you guys back this morning, and we're going to start talking about something I thought was pretty interesting. We got all kinds of messages about this. But first, let me get to you guys and say good morning to you. Good morning, Chris Tomakani over there in the Pacific Northwest. Great to see you. I hope I hope you had an amazing New Year's out there. Hope the weather wasn't too cold for you guys out there. Eric Mofnas, great to see you. I know you were busy with back-to-back cruise ships over here in Saipan, and it's great to see you, man. Thank you. Happy New Year to you. He says, hey, may 2026 be a better year for all of us. Take care, stay safe, and God bless you and your family always. What a great guy. Wari Thai Spa, good morning to you. We got to make it in there. I'm telling you, I'm still sore. I ended up getting a massage 2 nights ago. I had someone walking on my back and I needed it, man. I'm telling you, I was all jacked up. And but I think I need to try out your place. You're always in the comments. I got to go down there and check out your place. Ray Kitagua, good morning. Half a day to you, man. Great to see you. Thanks for joining us today. Bruce Camacho in the house. Got to see him on New Year's. No, Bruce Camacho, he was not my New Year's kiss. But I did give him a high five. That's as close as you can get with a cool guy like that. Rossaman, great to see you. Half a day, and thanks for joining us today. Great to see you. PK is in the house. Great to see you this morning, and great to see you in person. We're going to be posting up later today about the mixer that happened for the Marianas Business Network on a couple nights ago. Man, I'll tell you, this really does feel like it's a Monday, even though I keep wanting to refer to the weekend, but there's no weekend to refer to. The weekend is ahead of us right now as we're getting our way toward the weekend, which starts as soon as the show's over, really. Jerry, great to see you. Man, Jerry out there in Guam, great to see you. Thanks for joining us today. Always good to see you. And yeah, New Year's was a blast for sure. Jing, thank you for joining us today, and Happy New Year to you. I hope your 2026 is amazing. Evelyn, really, thanks for weighing in about the candidates for everything. Thanks for joining us as well. And Richie, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us today. It's great to see you. And I hope you had a great New Year's Eve party too. And hey, I hope you get to be off this weekend as well. Josie, good morning. Great to see you. Mark, Boy, he's in the house. Thanks for coming in and joining us today. And thanks for giving us that great graphic today as we wrap up the week. Once they today it didn't feel right taking it down yet, but we'll give it one more day, and then we'll start off clean next week. But great to see you. Thanks for joining in with the holiday spirit and giving us a really cool graphic up there in the corner this week. Hey, and Ray, about that pageant, I'll tell you what. And you're talking about getting the other folks in from Guam and that pageant and all that stuff. I don't doubt that they'd be opposed to that one day. But, I'll tell you, this is one of those things starting from scratch. It's one of the things I love about the Marianas is that if you're passionate about something, you can make a difference. If you are willing to be the person to kind of take that bull by the horns, if you will, you can make something happen. And Rowena is doing it with her team. This is not something that's been established for a long time. It's a big organization. No, she's like, I think our NMDs need some representation with these events. And so she's doing it. And she created this thing. And now there's a whole bunch of people who are involved. Good morning. Come on in. So she's seeing that there's a whole bunch of people who she thought needed representation and wanted to have some kind of a big event like that. And so she put it together and made it happen. And, so that's you got a suggestion for her on that. I say you should reach out to her, because if you do, maybe she probably needs some help doing all that stuff too. She's kind of able to do it all herself all the time, right? But anybody who's got like a suggestion, like how when people start something up, not a bad idea, but if you're willing to put in that kind of help, might be welcomed idea for you. I mean, you're not like talking about some big established organization that's been around for a long time. This is somebody who's passionate about one thing and wants to get something going. And if you could easily get behind something like that, and support someone like that. So yeah, I see it, and they're saying you agree. Well, that's great, man. That's why you guys support each other out here. And when people are excited about something, want to champion something really cool, you want to give them the opportunity to succeed, and there you go. I mean, you can lend your support and it'd be pretty awesome. All right, well, I know we're like about 5 minutes early. Do you want to get a coffee first or something?
No, I think I'm a little coffeeed out this morning.
Really? Awesome. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, this is pretty cool. We told you that we got something exciting this morning, and we do. We've got she's making her return to our show, a superstar in her own right here, saving the Commonwealth one piece of legislation at a time. We have our Congresswoman, Kimberly King-Hines, is with us in studio. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy New Year, Sina Mai.
Happy New Year to you. How was your New Year's?
So I have this routine that I do every single year. I end the year, the last day of the year, with a grueling workout.
Oof.
I do long runs, and then I'm lifting weights for about 2 hours.
Nice.
That's
you
every
do the long run first?
I do the long run first, and then I'm normally since I've been living on Saipan, I run from Aslito and a little bit past the gym. I come back.
Ooh.
Goats Gym, right?
On Middle Road?
Yeah, from Aslito down the middle, all the way down, and then you run to American Memorial Park, and then head up to the gym.
You run along Beach Road?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's
wow,
nice.
That's a great run.
And then you hit the weights, and for me, it's about testing the body, going as hard as you can, which means I'm poop after that. And we try to stay home and have a quiet New Year's every year. Get your takeout Chinese food and just chill. And man, I'll tell you this: for the past couple years, we have not been making it to midnight. But that's okay, because I want to wake up on the first day of the year and get back to work. And by work, mean have my first long run, which I did yesterday. And it's just a good feeling to have, right? Just to test your body out, to push it to the max. Feel so alive. There's nothing that makes you feel alive than the pain that you feel in your feet, your heart just pumping really hard, your breath just feels good.
Most of our guests get that when they come up to the third floor for their interview. So that works out. But hey, so when you're doing that workout, that's not leg day also, right? I mean, is that more upper body stuff, or is it like full body?
Full body. So you end the year with all, with full body squats, bicep curls, shoulders, everything, back.
Nice.
I like it, man. It just, it feels good, right? Go home, go hard or go home. Is that what they say?
Yeah, that's
and I try to do that every year. And then, depending on which year, so like this year, just so that the body has a cycle, right? And something to look forward to in terms of how do you start the year? Because this is 2026. Last year it was 2025, so I ran 5. And then this year 6, next year will be 7, all the way until 10, and then I get to start all over.
Yeah, what do you got, Moylan? Are you doing that kind of stuff? Come on, Guam, you got to keep. Actually, we got to meet Congressman Moylan. We were in Guam last week.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, it was just a brief. I happened to be leaving the governor's office while they were in there, and it turned out I'm like, man, everybody's here and they're matching. What's going on? Well, they were taking a big photo together. All the top folks that thought this was pretty cool.
I'm really happy to see that despite just the political season announcements, right? The commencement of that to see Guam leaders and Sinamai leaders focus on what's important, right? Ending the year with a show of unity with regard. I mean, we can agree to disagree and not be disagreeable, right? Yeah. And be able to continue to have these conversations in terms of how do we want to address some of our most pressing challenges. And I'm really happy, man, that we have been able as a community, and especially on the leadership level, right? And sitting in these conversations, I know that people don't always see eye to eye. As a matter of fact, people have diverging opinions, right, in terms of how things should be addressed, but being able to sit down and hash it out, right, and not have these public fights, because our community, you know, is already going through a whole lot, right? And when you have the inability to plan, and you are now living in a situation where you're having to make more, do more with less, it puts a lot of pressure on every single household here, right? And then you're hearing the government saying, you know, depending on how these revenue collections work out the beginning of the year, the beginning of the quarter, second quarter, there might be an additional need to be able to, you know, trim back even more, right? And so when you have a community already going through that, right, and then to now also have to deal with their leaders fighting, it doesn't serve anybody any good, right? For me, I don't want to fight with you. I don't want to fight with anybody. I want us to be fighting for each other. And only through conversations can we focus and figure out, okay, what is the priority and how do we fight for each other? How do we all work together to get there? And I think, you know, this past couple of months with some of these conversations, right, it's been a heavy lift because it's hard to be governor at a time when your resources are very meager. It's hard to be in the legislature where you're now gonna, you know, prioritize, right, one way or another, and we can all agree to disagree in terms of how they've laid out those legislative priorities. But, you know, it's a struggle. I'm not gonna be that guy who's sitting outside the tent, pissing in that tent because I'm not there making those hard decisions, right? But, you know, we have a lot of work to do. 2026. We you know, I'm calling it Mount 2026, and we are at the base of this mountain, and we need each other to be able to sustain each other to get to that peak, right?
Yeah, you know, well, one of the things that we've seen, like, you have been seeming like you're working with the administration, you know, closely. You guys seem like you coordinate with each other on things. And so it's kind of refreshing, you know, after seeing, like, for, like 16 years, didn't seem like folks were on the same page. And then it didn't seem like right away that you guys were on the same page. But, you know, at least the voice that we're getting from Washington right now, coming from the administration and coming from your office, seems to be like kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
And haven't seen a whole lot of that. And so that part looks like it's pretty good. At least we're kind of coming from the same direction. But the tough part is, like you said, all the stuff that's happening on the ground here while you're up there dealing with all the overall issues, then, you know, just trying to see what's happening here with the folks on the ground, because it's not easy.
It is not easy. I mean, you know, the conversations, I go running in the morning. Man, first of all, Brad, I haven't been running, you know, the way I used to run living there, because it gets super cold, right? And so you're running on the treadmill, it's not the same. And so just this trip back, man, I've just been able to run on the road. But, like, you know, people take that opportunity in the morning to flag me down and to share, right, their stories. And some of it is very funny and uplifting. Some of it is just very sad. And, you know, yeah.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, but that's what's cool about everything here. You know, nobody gets too separated or too far. Like, people can still feel it, what's happening with everybody.
Yeah.
You know, I know that there's a whole lot of stuff that came out of the blue too. Maybe I can ask you a couple of these questions.
Let's do it.
All right, so the one thing that started, I think the most surprising one for everybody was like, what do you mean deep sea mining?
Yeah.
It's like all of a sudden we woke up to, all right, guys, we're going to find out what is our big topic that we're going to be talking about for months now. We're going to start today. Boom. We hear about this request for information from BOEM.
Yes.
Out of Washington. And now it's like all hands on deck to try to get our brains wrapped around it. And is this good? Is this bad? And it seems like a lot of the folks, at least in the region, have come out and said, we're not for it.
Yeah.
Here we're kind of like, Let's find out. Let's hear more
Yeah.
about it. So,
Yeah.
where are we on this, or what's your take on it?
So it's early on in the process, right? And people have asked me what my personal opinion is with regards to this issue, and frankly, my personal opinion is irrelevant because I'm here to present an entire community with diverging opinions with regards to this issue. This is not about Kim Hines' feelings. This is about where does this community want to go. And the only thing I can do is share the facts. And some folks, right, they're like, why are you chiming in? Well, I'm chiming in because this is a federal action.
Yeah.
And it's my job to give the community as much information as possible. And by the way, thank you for bringing the dude from what's the name of the company? Impossible Metals, and having him come on here to share his side, right? I was watching the commentary and it was very colorful. And people have feelings about actions that has an impact on the environment, right? And when you're coming from an island community who relies on the ocean, when you're coming from an island community where the ocean is the refrigerator, right? People are going to be in their feelings about it, and I get that. The reality is that there is much to be still yet to be learned about the new type of technology that they're proposing to use. This process, if you were to kind of just look at it from, other proposed federal actions similar to this, it's about a 6-year long process, right? And my concern is that if we're watching what's happening in American Samoa, they're moving onto the next phase of the RFI, right? Is identifying an area to be explored, right? And what does that all look like? What does that all entail? I don't know. We're looking into it. We're trying to get as much information as possible. But the larger concern, right, is that there's this ongoing national conversation about the shortage of certain critical minerals, and these certain minerals are needed to be able to advance certain technologies, whether it relates to the Department of Defense or some sort of renewable energy, right? The type of metals that they're looking at, is used to make magnets. And I was yesterday years old when I learned through this process, how critical magnets are to so much of our technology, to so many of the things that we use on a daily basis that we take for granted. And there's this ongoing competition with China, right, where China, because they don't have EPA, they don't have OSHA, they don't have fair, labor laws, fair standard laws, right? They're able to go into certain areas and mine these critical minerals and then sell them really cheap, right? And when you're talking about jurisdictions that fall within the United States, well, that's not the case because we do have these federal laws that require strict regulatory compliance with regards to the environment, for example, or labor rights violation, things of that nature, right? And, the president's direction, when he says, let's make America great again, what he's basically saying is like, over the course of so many years, we've outsourced these jobs, these functions to other countries, in particular China, because it's cheaper. Well, why not bring that back in? But we all know that when you bring it back onto American soil, that the cost of doing business here, because of these regulations, right, that are intended to protect our environment, that are intended to, protect people, make it very expensive and sometimes cost prohibitive. And so where is that fine balance, right? And when you're talking about the issue with going back to the sea mining situation, right? That's kind of what's happening in terms of this larger debate, right? And so I think what we all need to be doing is doing our own research and making sure that we have the facts and that, we all have certain opinions and feelings about particular issues, but let's look at it from a factual perspective, right? And then, at the end of the day, you get to decide that. What I'm interested in is tracking the number of comments and what people think and feel about the issue, because that will inform me how to best advocate for the CNMI, right? I'm not here to impose my personal views and feelings about this issue on people. My job is to represent, the feelings and the sentiments, right, from the people. I know that there's been a lot of conversation as it relates to the ability of this particular proposal to generate revenue, right? And what the studies are showing is 1% of what, right? Because that's the proposed return. If this is a federal action that is going to be shoved down our throat, where national security reasons are invoked, right? I think that we should be prepared to look at how to maximize the benefit for the CNMI. Right now, because this is a new endeavor, there are no laws in the books with regards to revenue sharing, right? And so, the only thing that we have as an example right now is the extraction of oil and gas in certain Gulf regions or in certain areas, right? Where that share to, states, for example, is a little bit more, I think, to the tune of about 35%.
Yeah.
Right? And so I'm looking at this from multiple perspectives. Like, if this is going to happen, and we have no choice in this area, right? And we do have a lot of choices, right? But in terms of how do we immediately, do we have the ability to stop it, right? And that's a conversation that we should all have. If we don't want this, well, we have to use the political route, but we also have to use our legal tools if that's the direction, right? But also we have to be prepared that if we lose the political route, we lose, the legal route, that we maximize the return, the benefits for this community by looking at, introducing legislation that will allow for maximum revenue sharing.
Well, when you say if we don't want this is my big thing. Like, I'm not sure who we are with this, right? So, when I saw the American Samoa, the comments that came in 76,000. Wow, that's massive, right?
Yeah.
But then when we look at our local ones, I don't know if we cracked 100 yet. And the other part of that is, when you talked about that interview with that guy and some of those colorful comments, those weren't even people from here who were making those comments. Those comments were coming from the activist folks who are passionate about it, but out of Guam. So making those kind of calls. Not that I'm discounting their opinions, but I mean, how do we know who is for this or against this? And I think the biggest thing is we don't really know all the stuff that's going on. But I think, like you said, if it's going to be something that we're not going to have a choice on, we should get a little bit more out of this than what this proposal is. This 1%. That 1% would be coming from the company, right? So, and when we had that CEO on here, he was saying that you'd have to negotiate with the U.S. on this one because to get their piece, because the U.S. piece is considerable, right?
Yeah.
And so we'd have to get something out of that.
Yes. And so, from my perspective, my job basically is to look at what are the available tools on the table to ensure, that the voices of the people are of the people who live in this community, right, are best represented. And so I encourage everybody, please, if you haven't already done so, you know what I mean? You don't have to go into extensive detail. I mean, you could just write a comment that says no to sea mining or yes to sea mining. It's up to you, right? But get your voices be heard, right? Because once it's done, it's done. And, don't cry over spilled milk, because all too often that's what we do. We cry over spilled milk, right? Coulda, shoulda, woulda.
I hear a lot of the conversation about it. It seems like misinformation or a lack of information. And that's about it. That's
So I do know that both Governor Liu and Governor Apatang are pushing for BOEM to come out. And we are tracking that request has been received, and there has been a commitment from the Interior to be able to bring some people out from the agency itself to be able to have a town hall meeting with community members. That'd
be great.
Right? Yeah, I think that would be great, right? Information is very powerful, and that's something that I support, and I hope it happens sooner rather than later.
Well, we know you've been working out, and now you're going to be working on some of this kind of fun stuff. By the way, before we just get to the next one, how do you fit in with this part, with this whole Boehm thing and all that? Like, how does this come to your office? Like, is there official functions that you need to do now about this?
No, there isn't official. I don't have an official function, but I think, I do think it's my obligation to get as much information as I possibly can to the people, and information basically that's depends on good solid research. And so a lot of the information, not a lot, all of the information that we've put out is information that we've requested from the Congressional Research Services, in terms of just the RFI process, what are other models that are being used, what are the studies that are available that are saying about the impact, right? I think I did share that, there at one point in time back 50 years ago, they were doing an experiment with regards to this, right? But it's a different, older technology. And the impact basically was a 33% reduction or 37% reduction in fish life, and then about 33% reduction in biodiversity. But, and that the damage was very significant, right? But also, the technology was different, and the technology that's being proposed is AI driven, where you're not doing these broad sweeps. I don't know what the plumes would look like using this new technology.
Right.
So there's a lot that we don't know, just because the technology is so different.
So that's the other thing. I was in that webinar. In fact, when I was speaking with the governor of Guam, she was on that webinar too. I think a lot of people were.
Yeah.
From the guy from Hawaii. And they didn't talk about what this particular technology or this particular method was going to be. They were talking about the plumes there was going to be all of this, like the sea mud. There's valuable minerals in that. They're going to suck all that up. And then they're going to extract like the rock maybe 70 feet below that too. And all that stuff will get sucked up to the ships where they would filter out what they keep and what they get rid of. And they would take it from 3,000 meters down and then drop it back to like 1,000 meters, and then it would have to settle on its own. But this is a different thing with these guys, this impossible metals thing. It's a totally different thing. They just got that pickup, what you call like the potato pickup, what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Where they just pick up the nodules, and it doesn't have that big disturbance and destruction that they were talking about. So, yeah, different.
That is obviously a claim that is yet to be seen, right? Because we don't know, right? But I think from your show, what I've heard was that they are using a mini version of what they would potentially be using here off the offshore Florida. And so, for me now, I got to go back, right, and do my homework. What does that look like in Florida? Right? What is the impact, right? Are there any studies? You know what I mean? Because if they're saying, okay, we have we're using a Yaris, right, in Florida, and we're about to use a bus, right, here in the Pacific Ocean, because obviously you're further out, you're on the outer continental shelf. What does that look like, right? So, being informed is very important, and getting and hearing both sides is very critical, which was why I was grateful that he came on this show, and that the community's having a robust conversation about it.
Thanks. We're going to keep trying to get folks in who are dealing with the topics of the day for us. And we'll put that out there later when I could type it up and everything like that, because the deadline is January 12th. For all the comments, but I'll put that out there again. We've had that on the website. So to keep going on some of the other stuff, 2026 is a big year. We got your letter. You're running again.
Yeah.
Speaking of running, so you want to continue. So talk to us about, like, was that an easy decision to make? How did all that stuff work?
You don't start something if you're not going to finish, right? And I have certain legislative goals that I want to be able to get passed, and we're chipping away at that. And so it was an easy decision to say, okay, right, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to seek, re-election, right? And for me, election is a point in time where the community gives you a report card, right? And what I want this community to do when they go to the ballot box is to, look at the work that I've done, right? And grade me, right, for the things that I have been able or I have not been able to do, right? With that being said, the weird thing about this whole situation is this is my first term, and what I had always envisioned was that, I was going to do a mid-year touchback with people, right? We're halfway into the term, and in the next coming months, it's going to be, hey, how am I doing? Where are areas of improvement, right? But that's a conversation that I'm constantly having with community members anyway, because the conversation is, where are we at? How can I help? You know what I mean? How do I understand this process so I can be a better advocate for you? And I'm not excited about the politics. I'm excited about the work that's ahead. This next 2 months is going to be incredibly busy. There's just a lot of different conversations that are being had that are now coming to fruition. Things that we've been advocating for since you were last in DC, and we're having those meetings. Working groups that are finally being organized with our federal partners who hopefully are in positions to make decisions, or as high up as we can get, right? And hopefully, that moves the needle the way we need it to move. One of the things that I'm most excited to finish with this year, for the past 10 years, I've been doing a lot of policy work with regards to the Department of Defense, now Department of War. And one of the things that I've been saying to the Department of War, as a matter of fact, in 2023, when Admiral Commander Paparo came to Tinian, we were sitting across from each other, and I told him, I was like, there's a lot of these things that are happening with regards to the economy, and everybody is saying, but for you, we would not be having these challenges. And what I would like to see from the Department of War is that they view the economic conditions of the CNMI as a national security issue, right? Where, I sit in the Pacific Island Caucus, where, you have the Department of State, you have the Department of War, doing these campaigns to be able to ensure that China is now not taking over places like Vanuatu, the Solomon Islands, right? And when you and interestingly enough, I'm frequently now getting more visitors from our brothers and sisters in Melanesia and across Micronesia, having these conversations, right? And what everybody wants, people don't want China, right? They align with American values and ideals, right? But everybody is looking to feed their people. And when you put people's back against the wall, right? You can't feed people air. And these are the conversations that are being had by, South Pacific Island leaders that I sit in, right? And I in these conversations with the Department of War, I said, people are coming to me, people are looking at the Marianas and the things that we are saying with regards to the economy. And so how do we go and convince our brothers and sisters, our neighbors, right, to fully align with the United States and just basically, not mess with China when you have your own backyard that you're not willing to take care of, right? That's a long story for saying I was really excited on my way here the last time in November. I stopped in Hawaii and I had a very long meeting with Paparo and members of his team, and that was the agreement, was that I need you, Department of War, to be a champion of the Marianas. I need, I sit in these conversations where I'm saying tourism is not a national security concern. But when they're just looking at Kim from the Marianas saying tourism is a national concern, there's a big difference when the Department of War itself, Paparo himself, say, this is not a national security concern. And as a matter of fact, what is a national security concern is the economic collapse of the Marianas. And so we are united in that effort for the first time, and there's been commitment. I don't know if you saw the posts with Governor Apatang, Frenchie, and I. We had 2 days of conversations about what diversification looks like, what they can help, what they can support, but also the messaging, right? Because a lot of this is messaging, right? What is being said in DC about the Marianas, right? And us crafting our own narrative and not have somebody else telling our story, right? And I'm going to share with you, because I woke up yesterday morning to this article from Washington Post rehashing, you know what I mean? And hey, I get it. I think all those conversations need to be had, right? And more needs to be done with how we vet these people who are coming into the CNMI, right? And, my recommendation to the local government has been, if you are going to make an investment here, there needs to be a requirement that everybody signs up with CGIS. CGIS basically is, this federal vetting process, right, where you register so people know exactly who's here, right? But when I see articles like that, people are focused on the wrong story, right? Because the story is the effect of these regulations that has not allowed us to build a sustainable economy. It's a cause and effect. That type of activity would not have been here had the CNMI not been in a desperate situation, right, to pay bills, to sustain the retirement program, right? And now we're still suffering from the rippling effect of that, right?
Yeah, we took a loan to be able to pay for the retirees.
Yeah, right? But why are we continuously in this situation? Because there are policies that hinder us from being able to generate our own revenue. And so the story to me on a national level should be, how do we step, get out of our own way with regards to allowing this government, this community to be economically viable? I think that should be the story.
You're right. I agree with that. But I think at some point we're not doing ourselves any favors. I sat in the room with you and the governor, the Senate president, the House Speaker, and you're like, we are, I forget what the word was, but it was a house on fire or something like that. Yeah, and Interior is going to help us. And they're only going to help us if we start taking care of business. And you know what I haven't seen? Crap. I have seen one senator say that she was going to take a salary cut or something, right? Outside of that, nothing from the Senate president, nothing from the House Speaker, nothing from any senators, nothing from any representatives, nothing from the governor's office, nothing from any local agencies that said we're taking this serious and what we're going to do is start reducing our expenses so we're not going to be a burden on the taxpayers who are funding our organizations. Not a single person, because, boy, I say it like I'm on a soapbox here for a second, sorry.
No.
And it's the Department of the Interior who is giving us money. Like you said, it's a bailout. Like, they're rescuing us when we're in a bad spot. And it felt like, especially hearing what you were saying just now, we're putting ourselves over these coals, and we're not doing anything to get ourselves out of that fire by addressing any of the real needs in the first place. Granted, we have a whole heap of need for investment and everything else.
Yeah.
But I think, I don't remember if it was you who said it, was like, we need to start taking care of our own stuff here and addressing these issues internally. And it's like, instead of addressing them, we took a loan to keep things going the way they've been. So what is, I don't know what the perfect answer is. I don't know if there is a perfect answer, if it's a combination, because I don't know. What do you think?
Well, it was very alarming, right, to be sitting in DC, be asking, and to be the guy who's asking for federal assistance with regards to some of these things, right? But then we're sending conflicting messages whenever you open the newspaper, right? Like, because people all too often, only read the headlines. You know what I mean? And make assumptions based on those headlines. And so I'll say that the messaging to Washington is very conflicting, right? And that last meeting that you covered where we had this conversation, right? You know what I mean? Where I asked, can we all agree that the house is on fire? You know, because we weren't acting, right? Like the house is on fire. That's
Right.
one. And two, you know, the urgency in terms of what it is that we need to start doing, right? To be able to address some of these issues, right? Whether it be, you know, putting pen to paper and just like saying this is what's going to happen, right? And I think those honest conversations are incredibly tough, right? Because one, this is a small community, and then we're coming on to an election season, and you know, that's the irony about this conversation is that we as a community, you know what the MO is, but we do the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, right? The other tough part about just the budget conversation, right, is you know you do have a private sector that is in the worst decline that ever, right? And so now, if you were to take drastic measures, whether it be just a 20% reduction with regards to government personnel, you're now taking that money from circulating from the economy, right? And it's actually us, you and me, and the people who work in the government who's supporting these small businesses and keeping them going. And so there's a cause and effect there, right? That needs to be finely balanced. But there are, other ways, right, where we can look at, the budget itself and figure out what those priorities are. And I think what cracks me up is that we keep calling this about, for so many years, Brad, we've been calling it a balanced budget. You can't call a budget that doesn't cover your budgetary needs a balanced budget, right?
Right.
Because this budget doesn't take care of operations. This budget doesn't take care of utilities. It doesn't take care of a lot of things. It doesn't pay off whatever you owe, right? So stop calling it a balanced budget, first of all, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then start planning, right? What is the priority? You know what I mean? And work on that priority, right? And that's kind of like the thing that we haven't been good at is coming off early and saying, okay, these are the things that we've considered a priority and explain why and list them down, you know what I mean? And just focus on that, right? We haven't been able to do that. It's frustrating, and I know everybody's frustrated. And that's all I'm going to say with regards to the budget, because really, you know what I mean? I'm not in those people's shoes. I'm not here on the daily basis having to feel people knock on your door, right? And so this is not a cop-out. This is just, I understand it for what it is.
But does it weaken your position to deal with folks from Interior if you find out, if Interior says...
Makes me look like a liar.
Yeah.
That's what it does, right? It makes me look like a liar when I say the roof is burning, you know what I'm saying, right? And some of the analogies that I've heard from the federal side, right, is, we're so used to, like eating the steak where maybe, we should do without the steak, in terms of how we budget the government, right? And that's a tragic thing to say because, I'll give you an example. I go over to the Manamco Center here in Saipan, okay? And I'm really happy, by the way, to see that this budget basically gives them access to the indirect costs from their federal grants, because the conversation that I was having with Walter Manglonia, and that guy, you know what I mean? Like, he was making lemonade out of lemons every single day because he had zero money. And I was tracking communications between him and the grantor that basically federal grants were supplanting local obligations, right? which would put the entire program in jeopardy. And so just freeing up that indirect cost so he can, you know what I mean, stretch out the food budget, right? Stretch out, you know what I mean, the operation and maintenance of that building. I mean, you have the Manomku themselves actually painting in there, you know what I mean? But it does make me look like a liar. But like, the weird thing is that the numbers, right, in terms of like what this supposed budget does not express the reality of what is actually happening. You know what I mean? It's like putting lipstick on a pig is the best way I can describe it. Because we're saying this is the number, but that number is not reflective of the challenges and the struggles of every department.
So it feels like a family took out a loan or took out another mortgage so they can keep making the payments on their BMW. While the rest so they can still live in that fancy neighborhood. But the reality is they can't afford to live in that neighborhood anymore. That's how it feels like for us. We have to really change. Again, we're not going to figure out all this stuff today.
Yeah.
That's not what I was going to try to do. But I mean, but
it's a good conversation to have, right?
Well, you were there, right? I mean, like, you had to broker this kind of stuff, and we got our guy, right? Our guy, Angel, is there, right?
Yeah.
And to do this kind of stuff. So we have the best opportunity to get some progress done. And, you know, it seems like you're out there, you know, knocking on those doors to make that stuff happen. The governor is going to have that relationship. And then we've got our person there who can really make a difference. And then, bam, we do nothing here. I know it's not for you to speak on, I guess, but it just seems like it's a tough spot to be in, because, like, in that meeting, you guys were all there, and how often? I could tell you how many times on my hand, like none, that I saw all those leaders in the same spot to talk about something that impactful and so important. And I'm like, holy cow, I mean, this is really bad, and we're going to be doing something about it.
Yeah.
And nothing. We got our $5.7 million, and then didn't seem like there was any action here. Now, I know that the people on the other side of that are going to say, Brad, you don't know. You know, we've been working hard, and we've been doing, but there's not a tangible thing that anybody has heard aside from cutting people's hours back. And there's got to be more to fixing what we got going on than just the number of people on the payroll.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Listen, I get it. It's a tough conversation, and you know, one of the toughest thing about holding this position is that you hear everything, right? And, you know, I'm starting to hear that there's going to be potentially another major business closure, right? And, you know, every time you hear something like that, you know what I mean? I feel like personally sucker punched, because, you know, the challenge is already real, right? But what I need everybody to do at this point, right, like all our leaders, right, is we need to put our heads together, and we need to have, you know, conversations on a regular basis. And you know, I'm really happy that, you know, the governor, when I do come, that we've been able to just rally people and to sit down, right? But I think what we're saying and what we're doing, right, are two separate things. And, you know, and I think it's leaving a lot of folks, to include, you know, people who I watch the comments, you know, people who listen to the show, right, and just how disenchanted they are with regards to the process, right? And so these are tough conversations, and these conversations are intertwined with our political culture, right? And change does not come easy when you're talking about age-old habits, you know. How do we turn a new chapter? Well, this is 2026, and I'm going to say this. We are at a crossroad where we have no choice at this point, in my personal opinion, but to sit down and actually map out a strategy and just work collectively to be able to get some wins this year, right? And going back to what you were saying about elections and re-elections, I get it. I've been called a very untraditional politician anyway. But I'm gonna say this: the CNMI does not have the luxury of time. The CNMI does not have the luxury for just blah 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 anymore. We're not there anymore. We're like at a point of like no return, where any pause, in terms of the work, Brad, I don't think people realize that if you're looking at the actual revenues that are being generated, the actual collections in terms of the bills, right? Man, it's a situation. It's a situation.
We're living in a fantasy land with some of these
It's
numbers.
a situation. And so, for me, the work, that's why I say Mount 2026, man. Like it's about to be the grind. It's about to be the grind. But I'm super excited that we're starting off heavy, meaning a lot of work in January.
Man, I'll tell you what, I am inspired when I see you in the room with the Senate President, the House Speaker, the Gov, and the Lieutenant Governor. When you guys are all in a room, I would love if instead of a press conference or something, it was just you folks in the room, close the doors for everybody else, and you're just like, we're gonna do, what are we doing here? How are we gonna get out of this? And like to actually hear you guys, to be a fly in the wall on that, talk about, hey, this is what we've got going on. How are we gonna fix this stuff? And what's the hardest part about this? Why can't you do this? And I think you guys could all agree on something.
Yeah.
And you guys could solve a lot of those problems. Now you have to get it through your respective ways of doing it, the House and then the Senate and then the governor's office. But you guys figure that stuff out ahead of time. And instead of all this back and forth with the stuff that you can't even deal with, it just seems like you guys could figure stuff out because you're all smart folks. You're all motivated by trying to get the best stuff for us. So why can't that happen? Maybe it does.
No, honestly, one of the things, right, that's being discussed is, different folks within the legislature saying, hey, can we just have like a leadership summit where we sit down and do exactly just that? And I'm thinking maybe, January is a good time to have it. And, I have not communicated that thought or idea to the governor, but I think that's something that would be incredibly beneficial, right? Where people can just have honest conversations, right? And say, okay, what should be the priority? How much money should go to this? You know what I mean? Where are we at in terms of the revenue, and how are we gonna pay this, and this, and this, and be able to keep, the government afloat, right? That's something that I would really love to see happen, and then focus on some of these bigger pictures, right? Like, for example, workforce stabilization, right? So we just finalized, we just got the final version from CRS for the workforce stabilization bill that I'll be dropping. Right now, the team is working on a section-by-section analysis of what's in the bill, and just putting, some information. And before we drop the bill, what I would like to do, what the team is going to do, is put it out for public comment, because this is a very critical piece of our economy, right? Stabilizing the workforce.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people and a lot of industries, small and big, who are impacted. And so how do we introduce legislation that, addresses these community challenges, right? And so be expecting that that's something that we're going to push out and just, get everybody to chime in on, right? Because obviously what the healthcare industry needs is very different than what the hotel industry needs, but we want to make sure that this bill is all encompassing. And then the hard work begins of trying to, get that moving forward.
Well, at least that sounds like something positive that we got going on. How about, do you get to hear any of the little bit about, it might not be your initiative, but maybe you've heard something we can be excited about this Zoe Motors stuff. I've heard a lot about it. And it came out, and they're like, oh, we can't really put that out yet. You know, we don't want to make it too big or anything.
Yeah.
Yet. We don't want to scare people away. Is this something that people can, have some hope about?
Yeah, actually, right? So what's exciting about the conversations that are being had and the meetings that are set up this coming new year that's being teed up right now between our, not just between my office, but between the administration, the business community, and our federal counterpart, like the U.S. Department of Commerce, for example, right? How do we look at existing agreements? How do we look at existing rules? Because I think with Zoe Motors, some of the confusion or the challenges that people don't really, want to blow up is Het Note 3A, right? And what does that mean in the new tariff regulations? And so, they came to the office, and we've committed to helping them, right, to be able to get that industry up and going. But they're not the only folks that are knocking on the door, right? But there's a couple of things that needs to be clarified that we're working on. It's unfortunate that we had the shutdown and then now the holidays, right, where things just kind of slow down. And so, beginning October all the way until Christmas, New Year, you know what I mean? It's just like, oh my gosh, right? Everybody's like on siesta time, it seems like, right? But January, we have meetings happening. February, we have the IGIA that's about to happen, and these working groups. And sometimes the biggest challenge is getting the right federal partner on the table. I'll tell you, there's been one particular issue that we've been trying to address, and we've been going from one person to the other person because nobody really understands, how to address the issue. Like it's just been kind of volleyed around on the federal side. I think we finally have the right person, and I think we're going to get some results there. But there's a lot of things that are happening, right? But I think the larger issue is, let's identify what really our priorities are, you know what I mean? And begin working on that.
Well, I love everything you've been doing. I'm so glad you're out there and a million miles away while everybody else is still here, but you're getting it done. I'm glad I got to see it. We're going to be heading out there next summer for sure. I don't know if you'll be there or if you'll be here. We'll try to coordinate. Because
I'll give you my calendar so that you have it. We've been giving out my calendar just because it's a challenge, right? And that's the weirdest thing about this job is you are no longer in control of your time, And I felt bad because I was supposed to go to the Marianas Business Network the other night with PK. And he had messaged me the night before, but man, if you don't, sometimes people are waiting 2 or 3 months to come and meet, right? And it's not because I'm you know what I mean, just out here chilling. No, the days are from the morning to the afternoon. You're just meeting people or going to schools and just trying to balance all that. And then, you know what I mean, trying to make time for
yourself,
my daughter and my husband and my mom. I didn't go home for Christmas this year. You know what I mean? It's just the time is very short, and given the way that the week has turned out, it just, you got to work, and that's okay. It's what I signed up for, and I think the fam understands, right?
Oh, you mean Miss Photogenic? I saw that she won that. Was her award? Was it?
I think she got top model or something.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden I saw her on the ads for NMC and everything like that. I'm like, how cool is this?
I'm incredibly proud of her. This has not been very easy for her because she's shy. She's very private, and she just wants to do her own thing. And sometimes, right, when you have a mom and a dad who's just very public facing, you're put in situations where your privacy is not what it is, right? And this was not something that I had expected her to do, but I'm glad that she is, and she's embracing, the type of service work that her dad and I love to do. And so she's put up with a lot. You know, obviously she's a young kid trying to figure out, you know, her life and her path. She has her own opinion and views, right? But I do forget that she is still my daughter who needs her mother. And I was having a conversation with Matt. I was like, man, Matt, I think when it comes to, like, you know what I mean, my circle, like my small tight-knit circle, right, my closest friends and my family, to include my husband and whatever, like, I'm incredibly insensitive because I just take for granted that they're just going to be there to support these very public leaning things that I do, you know, and all too often the job comes first. It's just, you know what I mean, like, like when you're in this spot, you don't have you can't call in sick and somebody else is going to cover the work for you, you know. You're just on 24 hours 365, and when people call you, right? But obviously, you know, there's limitations, you know. And I was telling Matt, I was like, man, I'm incredibly insensitive because, you know, I'm like, okay, you know, I just expect them to take it, right? And learning that balance has been very challenging for me, just because if you allow me to, it would just go, you know?
I know exactly
Yeah.
what you're talking about. I've got the same thing. You've got Chester holding the fort for you guys, and I got Kathy holding the fort for us, because I am the public facing.
Yeah, I mean, you're out there all the time covering all these stories, and then, like, you know, aside and separate from that, right? You're learning and doing all this behind the scenes work for you to be able to hop on here and just make it seem so effortless. Right?
And while the kids have practices and games and other social events and all that stuff, and trying to find a way that I can be at any of them and carve out some of that.
Yeah.
I don't know how you could do the carve out. That's why I was listening. I love that that's how you get to start the day and all that stuff, like, because you have hardwired into your day. There is some you time where you're able to focus on yourself and a little self-care and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna tell you a story, man. So the other day I was running, right?
Mm-hmm.
And somebody like pulls up to me, and then they're like, "Oh, sorry to interrupt your meeting."
While you're running?
Your meeting.
Okay.
He thought I was having a full-blown meeting. So apparently, so like, you know, my like Chester and Sydney are always giving me crap for this, right? Because they're like, oh, you're talking to yourself again, and like it seems like, but I don't realize that, like, I'm talking out loud, right? And so when I run, apparently I'm also talking out loud, and I have, you know, my headphones on, so people think like I'm having like a telecon, but I'm really not. I'm having a telecon with myself, you know, like the mom Kim, the auntie Kim, the daughter Kim, the delegate Kim, the friend Kim, right? And just sorting out the day. And sometimes I guess I get too animated, but no, it's just a meeting with myself.
Nice. Well, thanks for meeting with us today.
Yeah.
I know we had you for a long time.
No, this is fine. This is fine. I won't be back until January. I head out in a couple of days here. And so, you know, let's do this regularly. Especially because there's a lot that we have coming down the pipeline in terms of, you know, very nuanced conversations that are being had at the federal level. And I want to be able to, as much as possible, keep people in the loop with what's happening, right? And plus, man, I'm just that guy who, I don't like secrets. I just don't like secrets. I don't like these behind, like, closed door, like, I don't do that. You know what I mean? What you see is what you get, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that one of the best ways to go about moving forward is that, you know, we're constantly communicating, we're constantly dialoguing, and we don't all have to agree. We don't all have to agree. But we need to focus on a direction and following through and just chipping away at it, right? Mm-hmm. It's the only way, Brad.
Well,
forward.
It is, and we're already in 2026 now, believe it or not. Yeah, I'm watching folks in the comments now. I like that one, PJ. That's hilarious. I know. We'll get to that one another time. But It's great to have you in here. I love the conversation, and because people get to hear you. The stuff that you were talking about today, like why I love this little format and stuff like that, because it's not, you're not just giving me the political the stuff that you hear like when people are stumping and stuff like that. It's just a real good conversation, and I appreciate your time and your openness on all this stuff.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to do this with the community. I do know you have quite a following, and so this is good to be able to just get people to
billions and billions of people around the world.
You know what I want to do in the new year too is just start doing lives where people call in with their questions, right?
Yeah.
And so we'll figure out how to make that happen.
You want to do it here? We do it.
Yeah.
It's the Kim show. He's here for your questions and all that stuff. You can see the comments. We can give you the monitor. We'll do all the work for you. All you got to do is just be there, and you can hear it. We could pop stuff up and do all that kind of stuff for you.
Because the reality is, right, is that how do you have these conversations when you man, time is a luxury I don't personally have, That's the crazy part, you know what I mean? And like, that was the only thing I wish for Christmas, is time, And I'm sure you know all about that.
Yeah, I know a thing or two.
Yeah.
But thanks for your time.
Thank you.
This
Thank
was
you.
great. All right, guys, we're going to take a break. We will come back with more, but we're going to get you the latest news from the Associated Press. Hot off the presses. This is the latest one, so we're going to change that screen for you, and here you go. We'll be back with more.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. A New Year tragedy in Switzerland. Ed Donahue has details.
Police say about 40 people were killed, another 115 injured, most of them seriously, in a fire during a New Year's celebration at a Swiss Alpine bar. Samuel Rapp says he was at a nearby restaurant when he was told there was an explosion at the crowded La Constellation bar.
So I went out to see what happened, and I saw the fire inside the place, and a lot of people was screaming.
Rapp says he got a look inside.
I saw a lot of people on the floor, and I think these people was dead because someone put jackets on the face.
Another witness describes people smashing windows to try to get out. Police say it's too early to say why the fire started, but the local prosecutor in Switzerland says at no moment is there a question of any kind of an attack. I'm Ed Donahue.
The UN says the Palestinian boy in Gaza has drowned in floods that engulfed a tent camp. In Iran, at least 6 people are reported to have been killed during widening protests over the economy. They've now spread into rural areas. Russia says a Ukrainian drone strike killed 24 people in a Russian-occupied village in Ukraine's Kherson region. Ukrainian officials have not yet commented. The AP has been unable to independently verify the strike. And Lisa Dwyer reports.
The U.S. military released more videos of strikes on 5 more suspected drug smuggling boats over 2 days this week, killing 8 people, while others jumped overboard and may have survived. A video of Tuesday's attack shows 3 boats traveling in a close formation. The U.S. military says the unusual convoy along known narco-trafficking routes transferred narcotics between 3 vessels prior to the strikes. Southern Command says it immediately notified the U.S. Coast Guard to activate search and rescue efforts. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
This is AP News. The college football playoff semifinals are taking shape, with Oregon joining Miami in the Final Four. The Ducks shut out Texas Tech 23-0 this afternoon in the Orange Bowl. Miami beat the defending national champion Ohio State 24-14 last night at the Cotton Bowl. Meanwhile, Gethin Coolbaugh reports there's some rethinking going on.
Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark says everything is on the table when it comes to rebooting the college football playoff, including potentially moving another round of games onto campus. The Oregon-Texas Tech game on New Year's Day kicked off in front of thousands of empty seats at Hard Rock Stadium. The Ducks traveled 3,200 miles to get to Miami. The commissioners have until January 23rd to figure out what next year's playoff will look like. Expansion and automatic bids have been the 2 biggest headlines in that discussion. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
There's more news at apnews.com. I'm Ben Thomas. Thanks for listening.
If you see something, say something. and stay anonymous. Call Crime Stoppers at 234-7272 or submit a tip online at nmicrimestoppers.com. No names, no caller ID, no recordings, just your info. And if your tip leads to an arrest, you could earn up to $1,000 in cash. Your tips have helped take hundreds of criminals off the streets in the NMI. It works because of you. Crime Stoppers, we want your information, not your name. PHI is your local pharmacy serving customers in Cagman, Garapan, and Dandan since 1996. Shop PHI Pharmacy for all your prescriptions, and we even offer a large line of multivitamin supplements. Our Dandan location is open weekdays from 8 to 6 and 8 to 4 on weekends. Or visit our Garapan and Cagman locations weekdays from 8 to 6 and 8 to 1 on Saturdays. Check us out online at phipharmacy.com or follow us on Facebook. PHI is a locally owned independent community Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care.
Fox Sports Update.
One day after Patriots wide receiver Stephon Diggs was found to be facing strangulation and other criminal charges, another New England star is in trouble with the law. Defensive tackle Christian Barmore has been accused of domestic assault stemming from an incident in August with a person he had been in a relationship with. Barmore's lawyer issued a statement saying in part, quote, "The evidence will demonstrate that no criminal conduct took place." Patriots head coach Mike Vrabel said the team has been aware of the allegations and believes both players will be available in Week 18 against the Dolphins.
No, I haven't heard anything that would keep either player from the game.
The Patriots, who've already locked up a playoff spot, can clinch the AFC's top seed by beating Miami and seeing the Chargers upset the Broncos. In other NFL news, Phillip Rivers' incredible comeback has ended. The 44-year-old will not start in the Colts' final game of the season on Sunday, with Indianapolis turning to rookie Riley Leonard against the Texans.
This is Ainsley Earhart. Thank you for joining me for the 52-episode podcast series, The Life of Jesus.
A listening experience that will provide hope, comfort, and understanding of the greatest story ever told. Listen and follow now at foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Rivers stunningly came out of retirement earlier this month with the Colts quarterback room hit hard by injuries after being away from the game for 5 years. In the NBA, Steph Curry's annual homecoming game in Charlotte ended in a Warriors victory.
And they don't even have any second chance points. Steph, a turnaround three, was already running back. He knew it was good. Gave him the Houdini as he let it go.
That was courtesy of NBC Sports Bay Area as Curry finished with 26 points, and the Warriors beat the Hornets 132-125 for their 5th win in 6 games. Curry grew up in Charlotte and played his college basketball at nearby Davidson. On the ice, the Capitals sent the Rangers to their 3rd straight loss, beating New York 6-3.
Uses Ethan Frank to the doorstep, on the backside to the front. Score! Sorted from Ovechkin.
Sound courtesy of the Monumental Sports Network. And you can download the Fox Sports Podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you download your favorite podcasts. I'm Joe Morgan.
Get more on the Fox Sports app and foxsports.com.
If you see something, say something, and stay anonymous. Call Crime Stoppers at 234-7272 or submit a tip online at nmicrimestoppers.com. No names, no caller ID, no recordings, just your info. And if your tip leads to an arrest, you could earn up to $1,000 in cash. Your tips have helped take hundreds of criminals off the streets in the NMI. It works because of you. Crime Stoppers, we want your information, not your name. PHI is your local pharmacy serving customers in Cagman, Garapan, and Dandan since 1996. Shop PHI Pharmacy for all your prescriptions, and we even offer a large line of multivitamin supplements. Our Dandan location is open weekdays from 8 to 6 and 8 to 4 on weekends. Or visit our Garapan and Cagman locations weekdays from 8 to 6 and 8 to 1 on Saturdays. Check us out online at phipharmacy.com or follow us on Facebook. PHI is a locally owned independent community Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care.
Waves crash hard, the shore don't break. Roots go deep, no storm can take. This land of ours where hearts ignite.
right, Marianas, welcome back. It is 9:35 in the morning here on Friday, January 2nd. It is the second day of the new year, but it's the first show of the new year, and we're going to be wrapping up coming up. Not on that conversation is the answer I just got for the WhatsApp. Not today. Last time. Hold on. That's one of the fun things about doing all this stuff. We got conversations going on with people from all over all the time as we're doing this stuff. And this one was about like, ooh, did you get to ask him about this, or did you ask him about this? I'm like, oh, not this time. Last time we actually talked about that. Someone was asking about, do you guys talk about cabotage or anything? And that was previously, but we'll end up finding more. Really cool thing that came out of the conversation, though, and something you guys might be interested in, is that, the talk about doing like a virtual town hall and doing it from here, where we're going to be able to, it's brand new conversation that just started at the end of it, and see if we can't do it, where we can host it, where it would be like we would produce it, and it would be a virtual town hall where you guys could call in, where you guys could message in comments, call in comments, a virtual call in. You could do a video call in with your comment and conversation. And holy cow, I think we'd reach a whole lot of people. I think it'd be really cool. So we're going to see if we're able to pull that off and make it something great for everybody. So that is an exciting development of this. So like questions like that just came in, like, hey, could you ask about that? You could do that. Pretty cool. And, the other part about it is that the people who are asking that question will be able to kind of share with the community and hear about it, about like some of those things by raising those topics. So I think you get a broader reach on it. Ignacio, I know I didn't see you early enough to say good morning to you, but thanks for jumping in over there on the YouTube side. Thanks for joining us today. I'm thankful that all you guys came in and become a part of this and be a part of that conversation. This was a real good one. I'm looking forward to going back and rewatching it and hearing the conversation. Our Congresswoman is great. I love her to death. I've known her well over 20 years now. And she's great, and being able to, and by the way, it's really funny. Before I took that job with the military here with Joint Region, I reached out to her and her family and said, hey, you guys are in Tinian, and a lot of this talk is about Tinian. Like, how's that going to work with us? And what she said to me, she's like, we might go toe to toe on some things, but we're still going to be fine. I'm like, all right, cool. And that's how some of this stuff has been. Some of the conversations that we've had on here, some of them are a little more pica than others. Sometimes it's an information sharing thing and all that. But, talking about some of the stuff today about like, hey, what's happened, what's not happened, what are you happy about and what are you frustrated about? And, how do you go back to these guys at the federal level after you've had these conversations here saying we need help, and the federal guys say, we're going to give it to you, but you got to make a difference, and you guys all get together and say, we're going to make a difference, and then you keep going on doing your stuff. You're not in charge of the local stuff here, and then you just see this. So it's interesting. And by the way, if you're mentioned on the show, if you're one of those folks, and if you feel like, hey, that's not accurate. I'm the so-and-so of this division. I'm the elected representative of this place or something like that. And I don't think what you're saying is accurate. Call me, tell me. And tell me I'm full of it. I'm here for that too. Because, I know I don't know everything about everything, and I will never tell you that I do. And I make plenty of mistakes. There are plenty of fun ways of saying that too. But hey, if I screw up, poof, tell me. If I'm operating with bad info, poof, tell me. And I'll come out there and tell you, hey, dude, I screwed up. That's it. But with regards to these kind of conversations, though, I really appreciate them because they're frank and they're real. And it's, you guys being able to hear from the people who are making real differences for us out there in the community. Yeah, Tobot, great to see you, man. I just saw that. He's like, did Team King take my idea for the casino? Because it looks like they might do something. That's hilarious. I know, about the fireworks and everything, that would be pretty cool. Yeah, so, one of the things that we talked about, we didn't get to talk about it in depth because it was just more about the topical stuff. And speaking of which, weather right now, the topical application of rain if you go outside now. We're looking at this kind of weather throughout the day, but we are supposed to get mostly sunny skies, high near 85. Right now it's 81 degrees, but the humidity is up there because it is still raining. The roads are slick, so be careful while you're out there, folks. But getting back to this thing, we wanted to talk about this Washington Post article that's out there. And I know it's older stuff, but when we get the Washington Post that came in here, and they were here for a while, to find out, to start digging about what's going on in the islands of the Northern Marianas. They want to know what's happening out here. That to me was really interesting. And, they sent out a photographer, they sent out a reporter, and a photojournalist, I should say, because Sal's not just a photographer. The guy shot videos, shot photos, and he writes, and he's a good writer, too. Let me take a sip of coffee here. And Chobani, it was great to get to meet them when they were out here. And I'm like, ooh, how long is it going to be before they put out this kind of a story? And how much more is included in all this? They were here for just a little bit. I know they met with a whole bunch of people while they were here, and but now it becomes the big issue or the big thing that we've got, where everyone's passing the notes around over the weekend. I keep thinking of it like it was the weekend, and it wasn't the weekend. It was the New Year. It wasn't a weekend, even though it feels like one. Hold on, I'm just trying to balance this out here. Let me pull this down a little bit. There we go. This is the thing that we're talking about. Hold on, and let me answer this guy. Sure. Boom. All right, so anyway, this is what we're looking at. This is the Washington Post. This is the story that came out yesterday for us. It says, tiny U.S. territory in the Pacific doubles down on a giant Chinese casino. They've been waiting. They've been covering this stuff from afar for a while, and then they ended up coming here to try and find out what's going on the ground, talk to some folks, and get real on the ground stuff about it. And what a cool picture, by the way. I know this is a drone shot. You see them from all kinds of different angles. I just like this one. I thought it was pretty neat. And it does really give you a real sense of, how big that building is and how, it kind of looms over the whole, dominates the skyline. You can't even see Holiday Hotel over there, which is right next door. You can see a little piece creeping out by the side, by the trees. But other than that, you can't even see it. But you can see this behemoth that's out there. And so, we'll scroll down on it a little bit. But this is the big story. That's Shivani Matani. She's the reporter who came out here along with Saul George. And, man, it was great to have him. Anyway, you can read it for yourself. We'll put the comment in there. We're going to have a small little sum up about it on the website and on the socials. I was working on it last night. And, as how Kim was just here, our U.S. Congresswoman, talking about, trying to find a balance. You so often find the time to just do it in your families. Hey, the people closest to you, they're just going to take it because they're going to understand. But I was working on it for a while last night. I'm like, I just got this pizza so that we can have a nice little family movie night. And here I am in the first half of this movie, just working on this story. And I'm like, I'll just finish it. No. Close the computer. Let's go sit down, eat some popcorn, and watch this movie together. So that's what we ended up doing. That was that. Anyway, getting back to it though, we'll have a little summation on here. If you don't want to go through and read the whole thing all by yourself, we'll include the link and everything on there for you. But if you haven't read it already, it's really interesting. And what I thought was interesting most was some things that I had heard about, but wasn't sure about, that. Qui Ligier, Mrs. IPI or so. I didn't know she was still here. I had heard she was. I had heard that she was still here. But I didn't know that that she was here. Like we had heard that she's staying over at that building on Middle Road, that blue building. It's like where they had a whole bunch of IPI stuff before. There's like no windows facing the street, so it was weird. But anyway, but I didn't know that. And then hold on, they put on here. It was one of the other things in there, is that she got married here last year to the former CEO here. I didn't know about that at all. Well, I don't know. I mean, this is what they put in their story. I mean, I see this guy around. I didn't know he just got married. So I didn't know that. But hold on, and I think that was where it was in that story. Oh. And anyway, so I'm like, are you kidding? This is so different than what I thought it was before. Like, there's so much I got out of this. And, these guys, by the way, I got to tell you, it was such a great experience hanging out with these reporters to find out, like what their lives are like and how they are dealing with how they cover stories, especially stuff like this, as they go through the whole thing. And hearing about it and hearing and seeing how they operate and knowing that they've got, they're doing more than one story at a time, but they're really looking into these things and really digging into these things, and they could spend all this time putting together great stuff. Unlike like a local reporter here, you're just a day in, day out. You are the nuts and bolts, news of the day kind of reporter, where they have the time because it's what their job is, that long form story stuff, which I think is really interesting. And so it was neat. You got to meet them. Yeah, it says right here that they got married last year, according to marriage records reviewed by the Post. And so, man, I had no idea. And I see that guy from time to time. I got to talk to him. Say, dude, I didn't know that. It's not like he would tell me anyway, otherwise, outside of the blue. But anyway, because he seems like such a good guy. I like talking to him. And I try not to bring work stuff up when I do get to see him, because we're there doing we just happen to be in the same circle for like some sporting event stuff. And I don't want to, bring up work stuff around family stuff, all that kind of stuff. So, and so for the sports stuff, it's about like with family members involved. I don't like to mix that stuff, But I'm sure you'd probably tell me. But wow, I mean, so this story was really interesting. Let's get back to it. Instead of all that rambling stuff, let's get into this. So what I thought was really interesting about this, they were basically making it sound that there's not a real degree of separation between this Team King and IPI. It's the slimmest of things. And they said this Japanese investor, this Japanese company, isn't really Japanese. It's actually Chinese. It's the same company. It's just a guy. It's her son or someone who's affiliated in a different place. So here, we'll get into that. One second. This thing. Oh, well, nope, different one. All right, so where do we go? It says Saipan, Northern Mariana Islands. I'm not going to read the whole thing, don't worry. The beachfront casino, built here by a Chinese mother and son duo a decade ago, was billed as a $2 billion investment, a resort bigger than the Casino de Monte Carlo in Monaco. The giant gilded imperial palace would transform this tiny American island's economy, the venture's investor said. Instead, it ended up drawing multiple U.S. investigations and a litany of lawsuits, and its operators abandoned it half-built, with hundreds of millions of dollars still owed to the local government. The original owners also left behind accusations against them of massive money laundering and corruption, and a half-finished building with peeling gold leaf accents, mildewed carpets, unplugged slot machines, and hollow arches where the windows should be. The casino gambling scion, who spearheaded and oversaw the casino venture, is now wanted in Beijing, where he was named as head of an organized criminal syndicate. In August, a new investor bought the rat-infested complex, promising to finish and reopen it, while bringing jobs and tourists to Saipan's depressed economy. The buyer presented himself to local authorities as Hiroshi Kaneko, a Japanese businessman who claimed to have a track record of raising capital and overseeing successful real estate developments. In a 2023 email to the U.S. territory's governor, as Kaneko began to broach taking over the casino, he vowed to build the rich experiences of the casino's original Chinese operators and to spend at least $300 million to finish the resort, repeating promises that it could be the centerpiece of Saipan's tourist economy. There was much Kaneko left out, however. And that's where this story starts to get good. By the way, that's why I love these drone shots. They got all of it, all around it. Then they actually got to go through the building and everything too. Pretty cool. All right, so let's get in there and keep going now. Rather than representing a break from the Saipan Casino's troubled past, Kaneko and the company he founded to acquire the casino, known as Team King Investment, have long-standing ties to its original operators, Kui Lijie, who's 67, and her son, Ji Xiaobao, who is believed to be in his early 40s, according to corporate records, court documents, internal emails, and cryptocurrency wallets, and other financial records related to both the original Chinese casino developers and the new owner, which were obtained in a months-long investigation by the Washington Post. These guys, good. Kaneko was born in China as Jin Song. His name that he still goes by in Hong Kong, where he spends much of his time, and only later became a Japanese citizen. Key people in the companies he controls in Hong Kong are active in pro-Beijing circles, the records show. A director of several of these companies, for instance, is a member of Shandong Province's branch of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, the highest ranking body in China's United Front system that analysts say spearheads Beijing's influence operations abroad. A separate investor who acquired a Hong Kong-listed investment firm and later transferred shares to Kaneko and his Japanese business partner is a permanent member of the CPPCC of Jinmen City and is also involved in various pro-Beijing bodies in Hong Kong. Kaneko's arrival in Saipan has renewed concerns about corruption in one of America's most isolated, economically vulnerable, and strategically important territories, and again raised the specter of Chinese influence peddling that first helped drive the project under, according to federal agents and former federal officials familiar with the investigations into the casino. The FBI, IRS, and the Treasury Department's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network have all had open investigations against the casino and its original owners. And that's according to people familiar with the matter who spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss sensitive information. But these probes have not led to indictments on the most serious allegations surrounding the facility, including corruption and money laundering. Investigators and former U.S. and local officials involved said the probes lacked federal resources and attention from Washington. Look at this photo of Ed Probst. Does this guy look all skinny and fit and stuff like that? Come on, that's a great shot. I need that photographer taking pictures of me. All right, it says, Ed Probst is in here. He says, it's shocking we haven't seen any real prosecution after everything. And they describe Ed Probst as an independent turned Democrat who formerly served in the U.S. Territory's House of Representatives, who said he was interviewed by the FBI as a witness to corruption and part of its investigation. Said people have reached a point where they feel let down. Spokespeople for the FBI, IRS, and U.S. Attorney's Office in Guam, which oversees the CNMI, said they could not comment on the status of the investigations. Meanwhile, the Japanese company that Kaneko led as chief executive officer and with whom he launched his bid for the Saipan Casino, Kyosei Bank, is facing deepening financial and legal problems in Tokyo, where more than 1,000 retail investors are suing for more than $70 million in claims, according to lawmakers and plaintiffs' lawyers. The company is still a partner in the casino project, according to internal corporate records and Kaneko's lawyer. The Northern Marianas is the closest, now this is where they explain a little bit more about this to their readers. The Northern Marianas is the closest American soil to mainland China, and it's increasingly important to U.S. military strategy in the Pacific, according to former and current military leaders. In a measure of the island's growing significance, the territory recently helped to host the largest U.S. war games exercise in the Pacific since the Cold War. On the island of Tinian, just 10 miles from Saipan. Is it 10 miles from Saipan or 4? It's like right there. And part of the Commonwealth, the U.S. Air Force is spending $800 million to repair and expand an airfield that has been dormant since its runways were used by the American bombers and dropped atomic weapons on Japan's Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. That has added national security fears to the debate here about the wisdom of proceeding with the casino project. When Xi and Cui first established their casino in Saipan, they were seen by U.S. officials as part of a wave of Chinese business people, some with clear ties to Beijing, who gained footholds across several Pacific Island states, a cluster of small territories where China has sought to expand its interests while undercutting the influence of Western powers. And they show some photos from the ceremonies in Tinian and of Northfield. Though Xi is now wanted in Beijing, individuals like him know Beijing will conveniently overlook their illegal activities if they are seen to be in service of larger goals in the region. That's according to Catherine Pike, a senior fellow with the Australia chair at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, who is the director of Southeast Asia and Pacific on the U.S. National Security Council from 2021 to 2023. Ooh, they reached out to her. We should get her on the show. All right, story continues. Kaneko did not respond to multiple emailed requests for interviews and detailed written questions. In brief comments, when a reporter working for the Post approached him at one of his offices in Hong Kong, he said that he serves the interests of Japan and its government, and that what the media writes is all wrong, and he is not at all interested in China. The lawyer representing him in Saipan, Louis Yanza, declined to answer detailed questions, but said in an email to the Post that Kaneko's company, Team King Investment, which now owns casino assets, has no relationship or affiliation with Cui and Xi's company, Imperial Pacific International, and is a good faith buyer. A lawyer who represented Xi in a lawsuit in Hong Kong did not respond to multiple emails. Cui could not be reached and did not respond to detailed questions sent to her husband, Hao Yo-chi, who is also the local director in Saipan of the now bankrupt Imperial Pacific International. Chi, who paid to incorporate Kaneko's local company in Saipan, also declined detailed requests for comment. I love the photos that they ended up getting in the old casino on the gaming floor. Before Cui and Xi set their sights on Saipan, they were among the biggest operators of junket excursions that ferried high rollers from China to the Asian gambling capital of Macau, according to U.S. and UN investigators. The junkets, the investigator said, helped the wealthy Chinese who wanted to move money out of the country and get around Beijing's capital controls. By converting Chinese money into chips and then into foreign currency that skirted strict capital controls, junket operators effectively became bankers for organized crime. That, according to that 2024 report from the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. Cui and Xi ran one of the most profitable junkets in Macau's history, said John Wojcik. He's a former member of that UN ODC. He also, Wojcik is a senior threat researcher at Infoblox, a California-based IT security company. And he said the pair created a family business that was founded on facilitating informal cross-border money transfers on behalf of criminals and anyone who needed this service. How about that? I guess I am reading the whole thing. I wasn't planning on doing it. But it's so interesting, right? All right, well, let's continue. The business model came under pressure, however, when the Chinese leader Xi Jinping launched a campaign in 2012 against corruption, raising the risk for elites who want to move money out of China. As revenue began to dip, Cui took control of failing frozen food company listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, renamed it Imperial Pacific International, and set out to create a miniature Macau on Saipan. It's according to the company filings and court records. For years, the population of Saipan had rejected casino gaming, but Cui and G began working to overturn the ban as early as 2013, cultivating local officials by sponsoring trips to Hong Kong, Macau, and Singapore on private jets, that according to U.S. government filings and civil forfeiture proceedings in Saipan. Some of those local officials had repeatedly voted against casino gambling, but changed their position soon after the trips. The territory's Senate, without prior public consultation, according to lawmakers, passed a bill legalizing casino gambling in 2014. Even before breaking ground on the resort in 2015, Imperial Pacific set up a temporary casino in a shopping mall. Across just a few baccarat and other gaming tables, it was reported upward $25 billion in VIP bets in the first half of 2017, according to its own corporate filings, numbers that several casino analysts believe could not have been generated legally. The number couldn't have been true. It just wasn't physically possible, said Sean McCamley, a gaming consultant with 4 decades of experience in the casino industry. Even now, there's no business model for a casino of that size in Saipan in real terms, and no business plan that would work. Still, the partially operational resort brought in record number of Chinese visitors, who until 2019 could enter visa-free arrangement for up to 45 days. Until the pandemic, they accounted for more than 40% of the island's arrivals. More than 240,000 Chinese travelers visited the Commonwealth between October of 17 and September of 18, a number that dropped to $11,000 over the same period, ending in September of this year. It was really pouring money, said Remigio Mafnas, the Commonwealth's Commerce Secretary. The perception that China created that. Wow, that's so cool that you got in there. All right, here we go. Soon, however, Imperial Pacific started missing construction deadlines on a project that was supposed to encompass a 14-story resort with 340 rooms, 15 villas, and more than 200 gaming tables. Some workers said they were being made to work for 13 hours a day, far below minimum wage, and that they had been defrauded into working on the casino. In 2018, a Bloomberg's Business Week article reported on the death of a worker who fell from the resort's construction site, and it found that the families of local officials were profiting from Imperial Pacific's land acquisition. The next year, the FBI raided the offices of IPI, the sitting Republican governor, Ralph Torres, and other businesses in Saipan, including a consultancy working for Imperial Pacific. All put out statements at the time denying wrongdoing. The raids, investigators said, were part of a probe into alleged wire fraud and money laundering. More photos. The federal agency seized more than $310,000 from the consultancy and its sole owner, Alfred Yu, which he has sought to reclaim in an ongoing civil forfeiture case. As part of the case, which is scheduled to go to trial this year, FBI and IRS agents laid out in a complaint that they found what they believe was evidence that IPI was providing a stream of benefits to Saipan officials, including campaign contributions and upward of $300,000 in rounds of golf, meals, and other perks. The complaint does not name the other officials. Yu, through his lawyer, said he had no comment. Torres, when approached in Saipan, declined to speak to the Post. His lawyer, Matt Hawley, in an emailed response to the question from the Post, reiterated that no charges have been filed against Torres in connection with the federal probe and said the former governor has always conducted himself with integrity and remains committed to doing what is right for the community. Torres announced this month that he would run for governor again in elections next year. All right, here we go. Keep going. Under pressure from the probes and the COVID-19 pandemic, the casino closed its doors in 2020. Later that year, the U.S. Attorney for Guam unsealed an indictment against the casino executives over federal labor violations. The indictment named two entities, IPI and its construction partner MCC International Saipan, which is a subsidiary of a Chinese state-owned company, as well as three executives, one of them Taiwanese and the other two Chinese citizens. By then, all had left the U.S. jurisdiction. Cui and G were not named. The indictment referred to several other co-conspirators who were senior executives at the companies. Now, the next thing is about millions of unpaid debts. G and Cui's family also began facing pressure back in China. After prosecuting Macau's biggest junket operator, a Chinese court in November of 23 went after G, naming him the head of a criminal syndicate and charging him with crimes including smuggling Chinese migrants and illegally establishing gaming operations. Cui Lemay, G's aunt and Cui's sister, was charged in the same case alongside 14 others and sentenced to 8.5 years of prison. By the time he was named as a criminal in Beijing, however, where he had faced nearly a near certainty of being convicted and imprisoned, G had settled in Japan, which does not have an extradition treaty with China. Corporate records obtained by the Post show that he registered two business entities there, one in November and the other in December of 23. Cui Lige remains in Saipan, where she is rarely seen, according to more than a dozen people interviewed by the Post. It is unclear how Xi met Kaneko, but the two, according to multiple associates in both Hong Kong and Japan, have maintained a business relationship for years. In recent years, Kaneko, who obtained a PhD from the University of Tokyo on China's water policy, served as an executive director of a Japanese company called Kyosei Bank, working closely with the company's founder, Kenichi Yanase, in managing and identifying ventures for the group. In a presentation to the Commonwealth's government as part of his bid for the casino, Kaneko identified himself as the group's chief executive officer. Kyosei Bank said he stepped down from that role in January of 25. Yanza, Kaneko's lawyer, said in an email that Kaneko retired from Kyosei to focus on the Saipan casino, but maintains a collaborative relationship with the company. With the backing of Kyosei Bank, the resort will undoubtedly reopen as promised by both Kyosei Bank and Mr. Kaneko to the Saipan government. That's according to Yanza. Despite having the word bank in its name, Kyosei is not a registered financial institution in Japan and is involved in mostly real estate, according to an analysis of its projects and lawmakers who have investigated the company. Both the Tokyo and Osaka local governments in 24 issued a directive for the company to halt part of its business for 30 days. And they issued an advisory against the company again in October of this year, so that's this past October, for failing to provide a clear explanation to investors about the investment strategy. Coffee sip. In November, the Narita International Airport Corporation, which leased 40% of the land to Kyosei Bank for the bank's planned multi-billion-dollar development next to the airport, said it would be canceling that agreement, citing financial issues at Kyosei Bank. Japanese lawmakers have called for investigations into the company. In an emailed response to the Post, Toshi Soken Invest Fund Incorporated, the fund under Kyosei Bank that manages capital raised for its real estate projects, said the company has suffered substantial reputation damages from false public opinions fomented by the media. Kaneko launched its bid for the casino in summer of 2023. A few months after the Commonwealth elected new governor, Arnold Palacios, a former Republican who had defeated Torres as an independent after running on an anti-corruption platform. The casino, by then, had been abandoned for over 3 years, and trading of its parent company's shares on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange had been suspended since 2022 as creditors, including the Commonwealth's government, brought multiple civil court cases to reclaim millions in unpaid debts and fees from the Chinese company. Palacios spoke of the need to wean the islands off their dependence on China. People close to him said the experience with the casino's original operator left him skeptical of its merits. Kaneko seemed to tailor his proposals to Palacios' positions, saying he would seek to attract Japanese rather than Chinese tourists, writing in August of 23 that gaming should be the most powerful engine and tool for the development of Saipan's economy. Kaneko did not reveal Kiyosei's bank or his own ties to G, who had received 2 separate payments totaling $20 million from Kiyosei Bank shortly before the email to Palacios, according to the transaction records. Imperial Pacific filed for bankruptcy in Japan in April of 24 and was delisted in Hong Kong a couple of months later. It requested to delay that delisting, telling a Hong Kong court that an independent investor, Kiyosei Bank Limited, had agreed in January of 24 to purchase more than 100 million of its shares and restructure the company, according to a copy of the judgment denying the request. Kaneko emerged as the only serious bidder for its assets. A lawyer representing the Commonwealth dug into Kaneko's companies and found that the director for IPI was one of Kaneko's directors at Team King Investment, the local company he formed to buy the casino assets. In addition, the person who paid the incorporation fees for Kaneko's Saipan company was Haoyo Chi, according to a receipt of the fees. Chi was IPI's local director until its bankruptcy. He married Kui Lige last year, according to marriage records reviewed by the Post. Neither these links nor the transactions between G and Kaneko, nor Kiyosei Bank's agreement to buy Imperial Pacific's shares were made public to the court, which they should have been, according to stipulations in bidding procedures reviewed by the Post. Both IPI and Kaneko's company are run by the same insiders working together to ensure their debts are erased without making anyone they harmed whole. That's according to lawyers representing the Saipan creditors in the bankruptcy court proceedings initially argued. Faced with the prospect of the company finding no other bidder, however, they withdrew those objections in April. Creditors just wanted to get their paychecks, one of the lawyers said. The bankruptcy court approved Kaneko's bid in August. His company paid $12.95 million for the property and the casino license, effectively clearing Imperial Pacific of its $169 million in liabilities. Yowza. All right, now the China narrative. Another great photo. I was there for that. Though he now owns a resort, Kaneko will still need permits, regulatory approval, and the backing of the Commonwealth's government to finish and reopen it to gamblers. The prospect that he would face any real opposition seemed to evaporate in July when Palacios died suddenly after what his office described as a medical incident. Many in the business and political elite who argue that the United States has neglected the Commonwealth say Chinese money is a lifeline and favor bolstering economic ties with China. Palacios, however, believes that money posed a risk both to national security and clean government. Days after Palacios was buried in a state funeral on August 3rd, Kaneko arrived in Saipan, one of several recent trips to finalize the casino sale. He was met with enthusiasm by local officials, including Dennis Mendiola, the lieutenant governor who assumed the role after Palacios' deputy became governor. After a meeting with Kaneko in September, Mendiola posted on Facebook encouraging the government to streamline the process of reopening the resort. Quote, "That means providing support with permitting and regulatory requirements and ensuring full compliance with the law. It's our responsibility to help see it through to completion," unquote. In a response several weeks later, in October, to questions from the Post, including Kaneko's connections with the Chinese operators and the legal and financial issues faced by Kiyosei Bank, Mendiola was more circumspect. Quote, "My office or the administration cannot guarantee outcomes for any private project. We remain committed to transparency, lawful process, and protecting the public interest." In November, Mendiola met with representatives from the U.S. Interior Department, which oversees the Commonwealth, to discuss the casino's revival. In that meeting, he described Kaneko as the casino's new owner as a Japanese company that would help get rid of the China narrative around the project, according to people familiar with the discussion. Mendiola's office did not respond to follow-up requests for comment. And that's the whole story. Participating in this, Chi Tanaka in Tokyo, Selena Cheng in Hong Kong, and Katrina Northrup and Pei Lin Wu in Taipei, Taiwan. They all contributed, and graphics were by Adrian Blanco Ramos. And as mentioned at the top, I think Salwan. Yeah, the photos in throughout, not the graphics, but the photos, Salwan Georges from the Washington Post. So there you have it. You got to hear it at least there. You can read it for yourself. We posted the link to the story in the comment section so you guys can see it. Really interesting stuff, man. I'll tell you what, this would make for a great sitcom. Well, not a sitcom. A great TV drama that we could watch unfold season after season. Ooh, intrigue. I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff involved with this. I think it's such an interesting story. And it's not done. We are just getting into the tip of it. And with the election year coming up, you know, there's going to be all kinds of money floating around. Should be interesting, guys. Anyway, we're going to leave it at that for that. It's 10:16 in the morning here on January 2nd. We got some stuff over here to handle at the office. We got a bunch of stories to put up there for you guys for today. I want to say thanks to you guys for tuning in. Thanks for our guest, Congresswoman Kimberly King Hines, for being a part of the show with us today, giving us a great update on everything that's going on, and having a great discussion. And I guess that's just about it. 2026 is here. I hope you're having a great day. I hope this is your best so far of the new year, and that they only continue to get better from here. So take care, have a great one, and we will be back on Monday, not tomorrow, because tomorrow is Saturday. It is the weekend. You guys are probably relaxing already, and we hope that you are. So enjoy it, relax, enjoy everything. You kind of earned it. So kick back, enjoy this mostly sunny day today, and we'll see you on Monday. Go Bills.
Waves crashing loud, a steady beat. Palms swaying